with me in Zoom calls once I get going. You just gotta really just speak up and disrupt me if I get on a roll like Manny did. So the first thing that we're gonna talk about is categorizing client requests. And when I first went down this path, the ticket type, at least in the Autotask PSA, and this is not a PSA-centric presentation. We used to have ConnectWise clients. We don't work with ConnectWise in general now. I told Chris Aguilar, my assistant, that if any of you are ConnectWise and want this program, we're gonna deliver it to you. But typically, just because of the volume of Autotask clients we have, we don't take on ConnectWise clients. And somebody, I don't see him in the room today, has a SQL homebrew database. All this stuff is applicable no matter what PSA you're using. You do have to use a PSA, so, but anyway. So the first thing is Autotask default gives us the priorities of critical through low. And as I went through this process, I looked at ticket type. You can't change that. It is what it is. Incidents, service requests, it wasn't granular enough for me. I used ticket categories for about a year. Very burdensome, very difficult to use. Issues and sub-issues were not available in workflow rules in 2013 when I was developing this. So then one day it dawned on me, at the MSP I worked at, I know it's not this way with you, but every ticket came in medium unless somebody changed it to critical so that a lot of emails and notifications and stuff went out. So it dawned on me, we have a field, highly visible, in the same place, always required, everybody knows what the priority is, and it was totally underutilized. It was medium or critical, nothing else. So I started breaking it out, and as I developed standard operating process for each workflow, I started adding them to the priority field. So today, jump ahead 13, 14 years, we have repurposed the priority field to call out the workflows, and you may have more workflows than these 11, but so far, and I know with cloud, moving to the cloud, everything is changing, but so far every MSP still needs all these different workflows for client requests as they come in. And then sit down within yourself. You don't need me. Think when it's a critical request, what do we want? So, and I say this too often, I think every MSP has the exact same process when a critical ticket comes in, but none of us have it documented or written. So what are some of your processes when a critical ticket comes in?
Server down, critical.
Yep. And what is the reaction of the techs? What's the reaction of the service delivery team when somebody says server is down?
They start crying. No, they start jumping. That's the highest level because nobody can work in the company.
The MSP I was working at, it was all hands on deck. Somebody stood up in the cube and says, I have a critical ticket for this client. And the first thing that went through the tech's mind is, do I want to work with that client? Forget it. Forget the issue. Forget what I have to do. Yeah. I don't even like this client, so I'm too busy.
I'm too busy,
that. So we came up with a different process for that. High backup. This is for daily and weekend backups. I know we're going more to incrementals. It doesn't apply to incrementals, but you have two sets of tickets in the morning. You have server tickets and backup tickets. You want those server tickets higher in the work list than the backups. They actually have till the afternoon to work on the backup because it doesn't run till this evening or possibly next weekend. So, and these are all the service requests. Just saying I have a service request isn't granular. Some of those service requests are quick hits, 20 minutes of work, and our clients expect us to do it as a high priority because it's only 20 minutes worth of work. And how do you call that out in workflows and coach your team that when it comes in a project, I need a different process. Dumping it in the queue, telling the techs to figure out when they can get this done. Very inefficient, very chaotic, virtually impossible. So we need a different workflow for projects. So this is the first thing that you need to be thinking about is what is the different types of client requests come in. let me categorize them. I'm recommending to you, you call it out in the priority field because it's underused, high visibility required. So think what your workflows are, categorize them, and then either reach out to us because we do have developed processes behind these. They're on our website. They're in our Gladiator community. We're happy to give them to you. And then you can see, once the ticket is categorized, what is the expectation on the service delivery team? How are they supposed to engage and disengage? It is slightly different for each of these, radically different from critical to project. What are your questions? So once we've done this in the PSA, the next thing we can do is start looking at prioritizing tickets differently. So I commandeered and repurposed the priority field, which is a one dimension, critical to low, critical to standard dimension, but we live in a multi-dimensional world. We have T&M clients, whether we acknowledge it or not. We have managed service clients that are bronze level, silver, gold, platinum level. We even have the journey of the ticket from new to complete. Those are all dimensions that come into what should the tech work on next. So what we've been doing, and started doing this in 2015, is repurposing the SLA automation to prioritize all the tickets. They're in Autotask, and there is one in ConnectWise. I just don't remember the name of the field. It's called Next SLA Event Due. So the SLA automation is providing a different due list, date due list, and in Autotask it's buried. You actually have to know it's there and go and find it. It isn't surfaced easily. So we use, and I'll show you in the next screenshots, we use this next SLA event due date to prioritize the work lists that the techs are working on. And then based on this automation, we can take into consideration the relationship with the client. If they're T&M, it's 2x managed service clients. Unless you want in a position where you want to really upsell them, make it 4x and tell them, yeah, if your server's down with a managed service agreement, we'll be there within an hour. Otherwise, it's best practice. It could be 3 or 4 hours. Suddenly, they start appreciating your managed service agreements. So we actually use this technique to upsell from our T&M clients to our managed service clients. You have platinum level clients with 24-hour support. You just create a different SLA for them. When that client's tickets is created, the platinum SLA is put on it rather than your standard SLA. Non-contract SLA can be applied to all tickets without that are not a managed service client. So we're starting to build out a way to prioritize that list using the next SLA due date field based on the relationship, based on the journey map, because the SLA automation has three clocks: first response, resolution, plan, resolve. We renamed them triage or whatever your intake person is doing, tech engagement, and then completion. And so we're now tracking how fast we're intaking and letting the client know what we're doing with this ticket. We're tracking exactly when did the tech engage and how long did it take us to complete. So we're leveraging, recommending the SLA automation to prioritize the work list for the techs. Questions, comments, thoughts?
Those numbers based on what? The 2 hours, 4 hours, 6?
So this is, as I mentioned in 2015 when I developed it, these were the SLAs, and it really surprises me this many years later, we're still rolling out, this is our recommended. Now when we meet with clients, we're highly collaborative, we do side by side, we show them this. Sometimes I say, Steve, you've been doing this longer than us, let's just go with yours. If we don't like them, we'll adjust. Other people say, no, I want 1 hour response for critical, and they cut everything in half, But again, and then if any of you have DoD contractors, that's a different game. They are very aggressive, and we just create one for the DoD contract that is much tighter, but it's negotiable. But this is our recommended. It works I don't know, high percentage of the time, 60, 70% of the time. Any other questions? If you see Lori, tell her you cut out the Q&A, okay? So I'm gonna jump into Autotask, but when I tested earlier today, I can change Autotask here, it doesn't change there. So I grabbed a screenshot of one of our example dashboards. This is a typical dashboard for a small MSP, 1 or 2 techs, without a intake person, without a dispatcher, without a service coordinator, whatever he or she's title is. So we do have a new ticket widget here so that the techs can see when a new ticket comes in. In my opinion, a tech will never triage a ticket as deep as somebody dedicated to that position. So they kind of do like a light triage with it. They may assign it to themselves, or they may assign it to one of their other techs. It shows up here. The title, Ready to Engage, comes from in 2019 when we were developing these dashboards. We were working with 3 MSPs and the techs, and they're the ones that came up with the Ready to Engage title. So this is their work list. Notice that it's organized by next SLA event due date. It's and so it's all prioritized and driven by the SLA automation. The other thing we noticed was the techs were always jumping into Outlook to see if they were scheduled to do something. I don't know about you, but every time I'm in Outlook, I see 6 other things I should do before I return to work. Major distraction for me. So we put their service call schedule here. We're looking at technician 3. They don't have any scheduled work until Monday at noon, so they have all day today. We'll stay with today. To work on their work list. The other thing we noticed is they keep skipping over tickets, and that's all those waiting tickets that were in their way in their work list. So we moved them over here. Last activity due date is the sort, so they can see in this case somebody responded to today. There's none older, but we coach them if it's more than 2 days old. Client's not going to respond, so feel free to reach out to them in that. And then this is kind of an overview, how many tickets they have. We, over the years of working with MSPs, about 20 tickets for desktop support. Remote desktop support person is pretty good. If it's a project engineer, it's going to be less than 20 tickets, but one project's worth 32 tickets. If you want me to know where that number comes from, I can answer that question later. 4 tickets overdue, critical, client responds to that. So this is a dashboard, and push back. This is a dashboard that basically organizes a tech day so they always know what to work on next, and that's this list. Unless the new tickets come in, they're responsible for, unless they're scheduled to work with a client. It does take finesse to learn how to balance looking at 3 widgets, but this way in a great screenshot, they get a glimpse real quick.
So this is the list for that one tech?
For this one tech, because I believe in a review and assign process in the software. If you're doing groups, we can set up work groups. We can do it by a couple of different things. This top level filter changes, is customizable. But our preference is review and assign to one person. Mm-hmm. That way they have ownership of it. But if you're in a pod situation, we can set it up for a pod. And this is one thing I don't know how ConnectWise does. If any of you are using ConnectWise, want to part with Advanced Global, I would love to talk with you about how to duplicate this in ConnectWise. This is one piece. ConnectWise doesn't have these kind of dashboards to my knowledge. So that's where Dustin Pryor and some of his work, because he comes in with APIs and builds dashboards. And anyway, different story, I don't have time. So I have what I think, I'm probably 5 minutes over time, right? No, I'm coming right up on time. So I'm gonna go through this real quick. This is very self-serving. There's some other slides, but it all builds off of this. So making sure techs know what they work on next, that's where this organically improves your efficiency. The amount of time your techs are looking through a queue view or work list trying to figure out what to work on next. If you can get to this level, you take that right off the table. They just work ticket to ticket, five tickets at a time, but they always know what's most important. They don't have to do the searching. I believe that 10% improvement is $31,000. I'm going to walk you through that math. So 2080 hours in a FTE's year, that doesn't take into consideration PTO and sick time. 10% improvement is 208 hours. If you wanted to do without PTO, it'd be 2,000 hours, 200 hours. I used a typical standard bill rate of $150 an hour. Plug in your standard bill rate. Simple math gets you to $31,000. Any questions, comments?
So your company, what you do is you help people create this system that you just showed us. Is that what you do?
The how to create it, how to do it is out there in ebooks and blog articles and stuff.
Right.
If you need us to guide us through it, the ones that go on their own take about 2 to 3 years. We can get you through it in 2 months.
Okay. So that's your program, and that's what you're saying.
Our program expedites you implementing or deploying this philosophy. Yes.
Okay.
As one of your customers, can I share my testimony?
Yes.
I'll make it quick. So I was on the panel today for growth. Our company actually made the Inc. 5000 list this year. During COVID, we were at $1 million worth of revenue. Now we're at $3 million. But I was frustrated with Autotask. I've been in business for 22 years, and I've had Autotask for 14 years, and I've worked with multiple consultants. And I was one night in Reddit trying to figure out statuses and queues, and I kept running across his name in different posts, and I kept running to his website. I'm like, I don't want to deal with another Autotask consultant. Finally watched one of his videos of how he's been able to create like a system of triaging tickets and getting all this stuff to work. And I'm like, all right, let me work with him. But to keep it short, where I'm at today, I have like this amazing service delivery machine that just pumps out tickets, and I don't have to deal with any of it. Tickets come in, there's a process for them to be triaged. My technicians know exactly what to work on next without any issues. If they do need to escalate a ticket, there's a function built in that they helped us do with that to get tickets escalated. All my notifications go out to my customers. The moment that something is worked on, notification goes to the customer. There's a ticket closeout process. But basically, they came in and just redid our whole service delivery department. We have 8 technicians. And they created all these custom dashboards. So we weren't using out-of-the-box dashboards from Autotask anymore. Everything on there that he put on our dashboards has a purpose, and they guided us through how the technicians should read the dashboards, and also how the service coordinator should be triaging tickets, which our current service coordinator has 3 dashboards. So she basically is responsible for tickets coming in and out of our organization. But it wasn't just a you basically came in and you understand our business, you understand Autotask, and you kind of mesh that together, and that's what's allowed us to really scale our business, because now I don't have to worry about how tickets are being handled. My current struggles are now on the professional services department, right? Getting a project manager, sales, account management, VCIO. But as far as service delivery, it's like a machine right now. It's a dream. Yeah, they didn't pay me to do that, so.
Right. Yeah, it's great.
Ivan is just one of our 71 happy customers, and if you need to go upstairs, please go.